After a wild and madness-filled race at Atlanta, the Precision Racing League Truck Series is all set to tackle a different type of craziness. Tonight, Dover International Speedway will be the host of what should be some eventful racing, a track that has always been known as one of the most difficult short tracks in all of iRacing. With its 24 degrees of banking in the turns and its concrete surface, this 1 mile facility is tough to handle not just for the drivers, but for their tires. Who will start the second half of the season with a victory at the Monster Mile? We're about to see live on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the virtual Dover International Speedway in Dover, Delaware for the 6th race of the Precision Racing League Truck Series season. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside me in the booth tonight is Adam Lindgren. With behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose. He's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Now, this is going to be an interesting track to see racing tonight. But for the best way to get around this circuit, let's take a look at your GSRC lap guide.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around Dover International Speedway in the GSRC Silverado. Dover is a whole lot of fun. It's definitely not your traditional 1 mile oval, so without further ado, here we go. Down the front stretch, going off into turn 1, you're going to use the brakes just a little bit, braking right about at that Dover sign on the wall. Let the truck set, back into the gas, then back off, because if you go into it too fast, you're going to push right up to that wall that's waiting for you on exit. Same into turn 3, brake at that insurance sign on the wall, let it float down, half throttle, 3/4 throttle, back to half, back to full, and out of the corner. Feels like you're getting rocket launched out of that corner. As the run progresses, you might see guys kind of do this sort of a line where they kind of diamond the corner off. Go in low, let it float up to the middle, and back off, because it really lets you get a good head of steam heading off the corners, and it keeps the truck a little bit more stable. Same in 3 and 4. Let it float up a little bit, find the bottom again, 3/4 gas, back into the throttle, coming out of that hole, out of turn 4, down the front stretch. And that completes your track guide around the Dover International Speedway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
That was a look at your GSRC lap guide for the best way around Dover International Speedway. Now let's bring in my broadcast partner, Adam Lindgren. This is going to be an interesting one. Let's just say that with the way this track is in the history we've seen in terms of iRacing events here.
Yeah, definitely, Justin. I mean, after the extreme chaos of Atlanta last week, I'm sure some of the PRL regulars would have loved to see a return to a regular 1.5 miler. But that is not the case tonight. The Monster Mile is a chaotic 1 mile or 1.6 kilometer, 24-degree banked concrete oval located in Dover, Delaware. The steep, grooved concrete corners and gently banked straights tear up tires, and the profile of corner exit tends to throw trucks from the bottom into the wall on the corner exit into the straights. Dover is known as a self-cleaning racetrack, however, which means that any wrecks that happen tend to slide down to the apron once they are finished, and we will likely see that in effect tonight. These drivers will need to keep their heads in check, as the chaos of Dover may threaten to end some of our drivers' championship hopes. If they survive tonight, they may be on for a top 5 in the points. Speaking of points, Justin, we're going to talk about those in a moment, but you have a sponsor to mention, don't you?
Yes, absolutely. Tonight in this series is sponsored by Diecast Kings. Shop Diecast Kings, your home for the best selection of NHRA and NASCAR diecast cars at diecastkings.com. Once again, diecastkings.com. You can also find them on Facebook on facebook.com/diecastking. Now, speaking of points, let's talk about how the championship is shaping up, because after that wild one, it is very tight. 6 points separate first and second in the standings, where it's Bradley Hawley up on top of the board. Rachel Hunt comes into tonight's second, with Trevor Coleman in the number 3 spot. Daniel Knight and Christopher Burnham round out the top 5 in the points. Adam, how do the team standings look coming into tonight?
Team standings are also close after the last race. We have Backroad Bandit Racing in the first place tonight with Riding Shotgun Motorsports only 13 points behind. This season has been chaos for those two teams, but they're keeping it strong up at the front of the pack. Waterback Ramrod is behind with 32 points behind the lead, with Waterback Backrow 47 points behind, and Rescue Racing Puppies rounding out your top 5 in the team standings.
Should be an interesting one, absolutely. In terms of the teams, especially tonight, and trying to get some clean racing. Speaking of racing, let's take a look at the race details as we get ready for the second half of the season, round number 6 tonight. Tonight's distance, 110 laps or 60 minutes. With fixed setups, no fast repairs. Keep that in mind, as well as a 24 incident limit. Meaning, going to be important to keep the truck clean, going to be important to conserve the truck's equipment, going to be important you make it to either or 60 minutes or 110 laps to have a chance at victory tonight, Adam.
Yeah, definitely. Things are going to get very interesting tonight. It's especially going to be difficult. I mean, take a look at the chaos going on board. It's going to be a challenge to keep the truck clean tonight, and a clean truck is really important. I don't think anyone's going to reach that incident limit before they have a truck that's undrivable tonight, Justin.
Yeah, it's going to get curious to see who's going to be able to make sure they keep their trucks drivable. But we were talking about this before the start of tonight. It was a crazy one. At Atlanta, you have some details, though, to go through in terms of the aftermath.
Yeah, definitely. We've been building up to these kinds of penalties all season, but we have a couple penalties to talk about. We have a couple drivers who are not going to be able to qualify tonight because they've accumulated 2 caution points within 3 races. That's John LaBath and Baron Hilton. Then we also have 2 race suspensions, which is Barry Peel and J.R. Bash. And those 2 guys are going to be serving suspensions. And then we have another driver who is no longer going to be joining us this season, which is J.R. Smith. And so there's quite a bit of chaos going on that the stewards had to sort through last week.
A lot of things to go through in terms of that. We'll hopefully tonight we don't see a potential repeat. But let's quickly take a glance at the track conditions tonight, because it is a bit on the cooler side. In terms of track temperature, 98 degrees Fahrenheit, 81 degrees is the air temp, humidity at 50% with the winds at just 2 miles an hour to the north. So somewhat cool compared to the 120 degrees we've seen in some races across the iRacing service and in PRL competition this year.
Yeah, it's going to make things a little bit easier for these drivers. They're going to have a little bit more grip out there, and the tires are going to wear a little bit less, which will be nice for them. But we've seen that after only about 50 laps, these tires go down to well underneath 50%. So it's going to be dangerous out there for these drivers. They're going to have to be very cautious trying to avoid blowouts tonight, because they are possible.
Yeah, Adam Young had mentioned this, where after 50 laps, the right front tire where it was in the 30s. And remember, with this V7 tire model, tire heat going to be important. For drivers that were trying this at, say, tracks like Bristol in the Cup car just a few weeks ago on the service, it was difficult to keep the tires cool, especially that right front tire at that surface, which, mind you, is also concrete, like Dover.
Yeah, it's very difficult. And so as we're jumping into qualifying now, interesting to note that our 2 points leaders, Bradley Holly and Rachel Hunt, they were 1 and 2 in that practice we just had there as far as on the timesheets. So look to see them at the front of the grid tonight. Rachel Hunt doing a great job pursuing the multi-time champion and repeating champion of Bradley Holly, who's pulling off the grid now.
See how Holly does. He had a 23.420 on top of the practice charts, followed by Rachel Hunt, as you mentioned, with the 23.445, 2/1000ths of a second over Thomas Sink. William Hartman, Rob Haynes rounded out the top 5 in practice. But now it's about getting track position, and with this track, it might be difficult to pass in terms of how the race could go today. And it could be important to be able to start up the front so you avoid potential trouble.
Yeah, that potential trouble is the thing that would be on my mind if I'm a PRL truck driver tonight. With the amount of cautions we had last week, I would be thinking about just trying to survive this race, and the best way to do that, get a good qualifying time. Here comes Bradley Holly's first lap.
Bradley Holly's first lap at 23.638. So about 2/10 off as Thomas Sink goes with a 23.586. So Thomas Sink starts off qualifying on a strong note. Colton Lane starts off in provisional third position as the rest of the drivers make their way around the racetrack. Already some blistering quick times, separated by 0.3 of a second across the grid.
Yeah, Thomas Sink was our only top 5 starter from last week to finish in the top 5. He's now knocked off low by Bradley Holly's second lap, and Thomas Sink's second lap was not faster. So Bradley Holly will take provisional pole with only 8 trucks having taken time so far.
There's a lot of trucks, though, making their way around the circuit. 9 have now officially put in times. In terms of qualifying, what's the best way to try and build up your speed to make sure you get a blistering time to get yourself inside the top 10 or the top 5 even?
Well, to be honest, is trying to keep those tires just a little bit cool before you start that first lap, because your first lap might not be your fastest. As we see, Jared Mogar looks like he has some front right damage, so his truck's going to be down a little bit. Trevor Clement takes the second spot from Thomas Sink. But yeah, trying to keep that right front cool on your first lap out on your warm-up lap is going to be really important in getting a quick time with your second lap.
Taking a look at Bajin at the moment, he is on and finishing his second lap with the 23.669. That's a top 5 qualifying run for the time being. Some good times being put together here, and it looks like most drivers are, as mentioned, prioritizing track position. Jason Honchell amongst those drivers completing the end of their first lap, a 23.736. That is only a P9 run, but as we've seen, about a 10th or 2 can be picked up if you get the marks right, it seems, on that second lap.
Definitely. Rachel Hunt also out taking her first lap. Her first lap's a 23.567, which is good enough for 4th place. So she's going to come across for her second lap and see whether or not she can knock off Bradley Holly from that top spot.
Yeah, Honcho coming across the line this time, up into the top 5 on his second lap. Many others making their way around, including Rachel Hunt. A slower second lap, however, a 23.640. So Rachel Hunt currently will stay in P number 4. More drivers continue their laps now up on your screen, including this truck you see on your screen. It's Austin Hunter.
Yeah, Austin Hunter was doing some good laps. Rob Haynes looks like he's going to pull off his second lap. William Hartman actually had a slow first lap, a 23.9.
For Rob Haynes, he was 4/1000ths of a second off the pole time. As right now, many others finish up their laps. Austin Hunter at 23.697 at the edge of the top 10. 17 trucks have put in official times. The John Deere truck looks to mow his way inside the top 10. The 77 truck coming off the corner. And it's a 24.792. That is 17th.
Yeah, that's quite slow, but he's got one more lap to go, so it's possible that he was just warming it up that lap. But he's a little bit off the apex there through turns 1 and 2. Let's see how he looks through 3 and 4.
Yeah, making his way through the corner once more. A bit more speed built up in the 24s last time. This time, it's a 23.602, a 7th place qualifying run for Callahan.
That's pretty good, but we still have about half the field who has yet to put in qualifying times. They did not go out for qualifying, Justin, so that's very interesting going into this race.
So 18 total trucks put in qualifying times, including a 30-second mark. But let's take a look at how they will start for tonight's PRL Truck Series event, sponsored by Diecast Kings. Bradley Holly takes the pole by 4/1000ths of a second over Rob Haynes. Trevor Clement starts in row number 2 alongside Thomas Sink. Rachel Hunt rounds out the top 5 with a 23.566. Jake Honchell in 6th position. Callahan starts in 7th with Hartman and Bajin along with Jared Molgard rounding out your top 10.
Austin Hunter's going to start off in 11th position with Brett Adams alongside him. Colt Lane in the Lucky Baker's dozen position. Alongside him in row 7 is Jason Houndshell. Nick Robbie in 15th position alongside Charles Sumner in 16th. Lane Adams is going to start off 17th with Todd Smith 18th. Then we have our drivers who did not take time, starting with Adam Zemke and Josue Telez lined up as points scored.
Paul Williams the second in 21st spot, Matthew Aubrey in 22nd, Adam Young 23rd, along with John LaBath, Nicholas Hunter 25th, Mike Richter starts in the 26th position, Rick Chatley in 27th, Craig Holden in 28th, rounding out the drivers in the field, Baron Hilton, Adam Shane, along with Barry Peel. Those are the 31 drivers who have made their way to Dover for tonight's racing action. Once again, 24 degrees of banking in the corners, 9 degrees down the straightaways. It's going to be a tough one to try and find your way to victory lane. Your keys to victory tonight, Adam.
My keys to victory: survive the incidents. Try and stay out of accidents. If you see something developing ahead of you, back out of it. Go into the pits. I don't care. Just survive tonight, and you will be good, especially in the points. That is my key to victory tonight.
Who are some of the drivers you're keeping an eye on when the green flag drops tonight?
Well, of course, Bradley Hawley, the field's going to be really challenged to try and catch him and make sure that he doesn't pull away from the field. Rachel Hunt's been having a really good time this whole season. Thomas Sink had a great race last week, so I'm watching him in the 4th position. And then we have William Hartman, who had a not great qualifying time himself, who's starting off in 8th. He usually is fairly quick on these longer runs, so we'll see whether or not he can make his way to the front.
Trucks making their way onto the concrete surface. Get them just one pace lap before they get the green flag. Again, Bradley Hawley in control of the field. So far, entering tonight, 5 races, 5 different winners. The question is going to be, will we see our first repeat winner, or will we see a 6th different winner in 6 races? Time will tell as the drivers get all set to go on the racetrack. Should be a fun one tonight, Adam.
Yeah, it's going to be intense for sure. Look to see how these drivers handle these cold tires, and look to see how they handle the tire wear, because it'll be quick and fast for them getting tire wear on these tires.
One thing you know, Paul Williams II will start in the pit lane for tonight. Barry Peel does not make it to the grid either, as all these drivers look to try and make sure they get a good start. Watch for the tire spin. As the green flag is out, we're underway, and already some checkups down the front straightaway.
It looks like everyone's being a little bit safe right now, trying to make sure that they survive these incidents, but we have a truck already on the high side. I'll keep an eye on that one. That's Todd Smith, but a lot of these drivers just being really careful on these opening laps.
Fight for second, see side-by-side battling between Trevor Clement and Rob Haynes at the moment. Haynes is being shuffled on the top side. More drivers are side-by-side, 2 rows deep meanwhile for 7th on back.
Yeah, that's Jake Houndshell up on the high side above Dominic Magine, and they've got Jared Mogard and William Hartman stuck in behind them. These two are going to have to settle this out before anyone can go forward, but man, these trucks are not handling great tonight. Pretty tight into the corners.
Seen up in front, Rob Haynes was able to get clear to get to single file to hold on to the 3rd position as they continue to fight. From what was seen throughout the week so far, it seems you want to be on the bottom line to be able to make the moves. If you're stuck on the top, there's the chance that many other trucks will try and follow here tonight, Adam.
Oh, definitely. You definitely want to be on the bottom. These trucks are not turning at all, and so that means that coming off of the corner, you have the chance of a really high chance of just going in straight and just hitting that outside wall, and we're seeing that happen a little bit in the back of the field as well.
Now Rachel Hunt at the moment stuck on the top side, already losing a couple different positions this lap. Trying to wheel it alongside Mogart, but you see right there having to lift a little bit to be able to keep it off the wall. That drops Hunt down to 7th. 8th and 9th also trying to get on by. So Hunt needs to find a way to get to the bottom and quick.
Yeah, she's going to have Jake Houndshell, who's not going to be able to pass her, so she makes her way to the bottom side. That's the first time that she's gotten to the bottom. Up in the lead, though, Bradley Hawley's pulled about 4/10 over Trevor Clement, who is slotted into the second position. He's doing quite a good job. Trevor still doing a good job of chasing him down, though, and that's another 3/10 back to Rob Haynes.
Clement at the moment, last time by, was just about a couple 100s off of Bradley Hawley's times as they round their way through 3 and 4. 6 laps, make it 7 laps now on the ticker. 104 laps to go this time by. Last time by, Hawley was a full 10th quicker just about.
Yeah, Hawley's race pace is legendary, but Trevor Clement's doing a good job putting on a decent battle up there. But now it's time to start to see whether or not these drivers can keep that right front tire from getting too hot. Bradley may be putting time on these guys right now, but that might not be the best idea if people start having tire issues. We're having a battle between Dominic Pagine and Tristan Callahan now.
Yeah, Callahan just got shuffled all the way to the top side and making contact with the 67. It's Hartman. Hartman bobbles around, gets spun around. The first caution flag is out of the night.
Yeah, right side right front damage and left rear damage for the 67. That's not the end of the world for him. He still will be able to get going and get going quickly, but that's a tough break for William Hartman, one of our championship contenders in past years.
And you'll see once again that was the battle we were just starting to head towards. The 77 just ends up tapping the outside wall, taps the 67. Heck of an effort to keep it off that inside wall.
Yeah, if we could go on board with him, he really makes a quick movement to try and get this truck from slamming the inside wall. We're going to go on board. Look at that. Just a quick jerk of the wheel to the right, and he manages to keep it out of the wall. That could have gone a lot worse, Justin.
Absolutely. Already coming to the start of lap 10 with that caution flag. And everybody's made their way to pit road at this point, except for a couple drivers. Adam Young elects to stay out along with Adam Zemke.
Yeah, these two drivers, they're known for taking some risks, and these two guys are definitely going to be taking some risks tonight. Man, I think it's a good idea to come in for tires right now with the tire wear we've seen over the course of the week with these trucks. But these two guys were in the back of the pack. They're playing the game right now to see whether or not they can get track position out of this.
A curious call, especially for when the restarts get underway. Some more calls see some drivers on 2 tires. Thomas Sink takes 2 to get out the first driver off the lane. Up to P3 goes Sink with that call.
Yeah, I think Thomas Sink is the only driver to have taken 2 tires, and Jake Hounshell is taking quite a while in his pit box, so I'm not sure what happened there. William Hartman electing to take damage repairs as well.
Let's go to Hounshell at the moment. Or check that. You can see left front damage on the 94 truck. So that might affect him for much of the way here now.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's in for engine damage. So I'll go back and double check and see where that damage occurred.
Yeah, I believe was in front of Colton Lane just in P10. Before that, I believe that was from the incident with the 77 truck, actually.
Yeah, it was. He was the one who got into the back of Hartman, so he's taking damage. He's taking engine repairs. That's unfortunate for him. It looks like we've had a couple of drivers who have taken pit stops now a second time. Paul Williams, Adam Zemke, and Adam Young, they've come in after having gone around and stayed out that last time, so that puts Thomas Sink and his 2 tires in the lead of this race.
Yeah, and that might have been the smart call to come back down knowing the factor of potential tire spin at this track, especially up on the top side here at Dover.
Yeah, definitely. And if we remember back to our 4th round, we actually had at Michigan International Speedway, we had a couple drivers who did take 2 tires and tried to make it work, and it actually worked out for them. So this might be some drivers taking note of that strategy, Thomas Sink being one of them, and he's taking note of those 2 tire stops, and he's going to try and make it work. Adam Young looks like he made a 2 tire stop as well, so a couple drivers testing the waters tonight.
The description I've heard with drivers who take 2 in this type of scenario is it's more about the handling. And at this point, do you feel this will help Thomas Sink, let's say, have handle a bit of a looser truck compared to the others who might be a bit on the tighter side potential?
Well, it definitely makes it possible for him to be able to defend up at the top of the track if his truck's a little bit looser and he can get off the corner well. But with Bradley Hawley lining up on his outside, he's going to be hard pressed to try and stay ahead of that 184.
Lights are on top of the pace car as we get all set to go for the start. Sink, Hawley, Clement, Haynes, along with Bajin are the top 5 trucks at the moment as we get all set to go for the second start in the first restart of the night. The question's going to be once more, can Sink hold on? Drivers having to make sure they do not have any tire spin. The green flag drops. Again, Sink can control the field. Sink watches as the pace car drops, waiting, holding the drivers up, stacking them up. Off and away he goes on the loud pedal. Green flags back out. We're racing once more from Dover.
Looks like everyone having another clean restart, but this one's not as tidy. Looks like everyone getting a little bit argy-bargy as they go into turn 1, but still, some drivers pretty clean. Dominic Magine, though, he's up on the high side of Tristan Callahan and is able to make that work. He's right behind Jared Mogart, though, for that 6th position.
Mogart trying to make the outside line work at the moment to hold on. Bit of a squeeze that time with the 66 truck. Bajin having to get off the gas, loses a couple positions there. That was near contact with the left side door of the 0-0.
That was these new tires in that first lap really do work on the high side, but now that's Rachel Hunt who's stuck on the high side with Dominic Bajin underneath, and now Colton Lane's going to try and slot in underneath her as well, but she's actually been able to get Colton Lane to back off a little bit, so that puts her back down to the low side. She's going to go back on Dominic Bajin into...
She sees the opportunity, Bajin giving the space to try and get the run. Hunt follows the hole. Bajin hits the wall. The 66 loses a couple more positions in the process. So Rachel Hunt moves up one more position, but the battle for the race lead sees Hawley on the back bumper of Sink.
Yeah, Thomas Sink has been trying to hang on with those 2 tires, and it's working for him. It's not a pace difference. It's just Bradley Hawley has an understanding of this truck. Look at how... Wow, he's quite loose as he gets off of the corner. These 2 drivers going neck and neck now.
Hawley right now trying to get a little bit of a diamond off the corner that time. Gets within an extra quarter truck length. But Sink still able to hold on to that bottom side. Right now it looks like Hawley's just waiting for the right moment to keep up the pressure and force a mistake at this moment. Sink a little bit higher up this time, once more in 3 and 4. Hawley still staying within the draft, not willing to send it in too aggressively here.
It looks like he's just kind of settling in at this moment, trying to push Thomas Sink out ahead of Trevor Clement, who's behind them. But if Thomas Sink gets loose like that off the corner, here comes Bradley Hawley diving low into...
Hawley finds the hole. Moves his way up to the race lead. The 184 once again leads from Dover. Already a truck length advantage on the first driver with 2 tires. Now looks to try and take off and away. Was about 3/10 quicker last time by. Meanwhile, Hunt battling with Callahan at the moment.
Yeah, Rachel Hunt has been chasing down Callahan for the last couple of laps. We've been watching that lead battle as Thomas Sink continues to fall away, and she's right on the back of Tristan Callahan and is looking to the inside a couple of times. Tristan Callahan with a little bit of left rear damage. That shouldn't be affecting him too much, but it looks like he's struggling on these new tires.
Yeah, you can see the difference right there, especially a bit more tighter off the corner. You have to wonder if Hunt's backing up the corners just a little bit more in the apex. That time Hunt seen an opportunity, just backed off, trying to be a little bit cautious here. Want to make sure she doesn't force it in the middle of the corner.
All right, these trucks look like they've hit their first wall of a couple that they're going to run into tonight. These trucks getting extremely tight into and out of the corners. So these drivers are going to have to start backing off on the throttle as they exit the corner.
It's getting very aggressive meanwhile for P number 2, by the way. That is where Sink is still at the moment. Currently 2 truck lengths behind Hawley. However, Clement and Haynes want to go. and they are trying very aggressively to try and make this move work.
Yeah, they're being very aggressive right now. They know that this is the best opportunity to get by. And oh, we have a wreck in the backfield. That looks like that is Charles Sumner. Looks like he's in. Quite a few trucks are in this one.
Mike Richter started it off in the 51 truck, ended up hitting the wall. Got a little bit of help from Hartman, who had nowhere to go as he hit the wall. And it caused a massive stack out of at least 5 different trucks involved.
Yeah, this is the one that you need to avoid, and man, William Hartman nowhere to go as Mike Richter hit the wall exiting turn 2. That's the most often place where people seem to impact that wall. The truck just slows down on that high side, and William Hartman just clobbered him. We're gonna see it right now.
Yeah, for Hartman, it wasn't the matter. It was basically the matter, rather, of nowhere to go. Truck hits the wall. You have maybe a quarter second to react.
Yeah, and you can't expect that either because you're expecting him to. I mean, the margins are so narrow at this track. He was just expecting Mike Richter to be able to make it off the corner, and when he didn't, I mean, you're coming over a crest. You don't have any traction, so even if he were to brake in that moment, he wouldn't have been able to stop. He would have been into the back of Mike Richter regardless.
So everyone comes back down the pit lane once more. Paul Williams II and Todd Smith did stay out this time by, but Paul Williams II does get the credit for the lead, while everyone else rushes off the pit lane. Holly comes out first. Sink moves up a few spots, though. He comes out second off the lane.
And that's a good thing to note for all the drivers, that 2-tire stop did not lead to a massive drop in the positions for Thomas Sink. Now, granted, that was a fairly short run, but still, it's a viable option if you're expecting to have more cautions.
Indeed, here's still 86 laps to go this time by for the drivers. And Todd Smith does pit, but Paul Williams II did not duck down. Here's the thing with Paul Williams II. Remember, he started from the pit lane in this race. Got the lucky dog on the first caution flag. And is now getting credit for leading laps at this moment. So this could get interesting if he elects to stay out. That's the if.
Yeah, I would almost expect him to, with his success that he's had in this series before, but also his bad luck. Track position is going to be more important than just about anything. So even if you get, freight trained during this next restart, it's not going to make much of a difference because you're going to be having success just being up there in the top 10.
Well, he's got no choice now with the lights out on top of the pace car, so this is going to get interesting. It is only about 10 lap-old tires on Paul Williams II, so a bit of a gamble from the 7 truck. So we'll have to see how this works out. We've seen how 2 tires held up in that battle before so far tonight. So the Diecast Kings truck is up in front, and this is where it could get a bit nervous on the start here with the tire spin.
Definitely these drivers are going to have to watch the tire spin. The track's still at 98 degrees, so it's gone up a little bit since our qualifying session, but they have to be really careful because if they get any tire spin off of this start, it's going to be...
Williams II takes them early this time. Green flag up for the stand, back racing at Dover, and a massive jump, 4 or 5 truck lengths for the 7.
That allows Thomas Sink to get underneath Bradley Holly. Thomas Sink has fresh tires this time, so he can battle Bradley a little bit harder. But Thomas Sink gets a little bit tight off the corner, so that allows Bradley Holly to get back underneath. Here comes Rob Haynes wanting to follow Bradley Holly through, but look, they're still side by side as they come off of 4.
And a good run for Holly on the bottom, having to hold on to it as there's a little dip in that part of turn number 4. But again, Holly preferred line. Outside Sink forced to check up as here comes the revolving door of trucks underneath.
Yeah, Holly's got nowhere to go, but he is able to duck down on the underside as Sink gets forced up to the high side, but he's going to be able to duck down in front of Jared Mogard, so that allows Trevor Clement to fall in behind him and Rachel Hunt behind them as well.
Drivers still trying to cycle themselves around and get into a rhythm. Mogard has gotten through. Rachel Hunt now side by side with Clement up on your screen. Clement forced to back off the gas. Hunt able to hold on to the position. That is for 6th spot on the racetrack. So Rachel Hunt having an impressive night so far.
Yeah, these drivers are pretty much all single file at this point, but these different lanes that everyone's trying, a couple of people trying late entries, a couple of people trying late exits. The late exit's not going to do you any good here at Dover, but everyone's trying out different lines to see whether or not it's going to work. But Paul Williams struggling out there on 2 tires now. Bradley Holly's almost to his rear bumper.
Yeah, he climbed up the hill in turn 3, not the line you want to take with the trucks. And he is very tight. Take a look at how high he's having to take the corner. Holly able to ride that bottom line and close up an extra truck length. So Holly tries to go to the bottom, lifts a slight touch as Williams II gives him the space and pushes up the hill. Race lead once more. Brad Holly's up at the front.
Now remember, Paul Williams is just here to try and gain track position from being at the back of the pack, so even if he drops down into the top 10, it's not going to matter to him much. He drops in, slots back in 3rd position, but expect Thomas Sink to go underneath him as well. Rob Haynes followed Bradley Holly through to 2nd.
At this point, Williams II is now in a situation where he needs a caution flag and doesn't want to be it, because he is right now again pushing an extra lane every corner up. This time he got himself together, but at this point, what does Paul Williams II do?
Paul Williams looks like he's just trying to hold that lane, but he's actually going to give Thomas Sink this corner because I think he was worried about Thomas Sink being a little aggressive underneath him, so he's going to allow Thomas Sink to go through. Is he going to be able to get in front of Jared Mogart? It does not look like it. Jared Mogart's going to get underneath him as well, and so he's going to start to get freight trained here. That's going to drop him all the way back to 8th, where Colton Lane is in the 60.
Right now, Rachel Hunt forced to also lift. Everybody trying to get to the bottom line. Clement and Lane both went at the same time to the same line. As Williams II drops towards the end of the train already, more trucks are closing Hodgsdale. Callahan, along with the Gene, was they try and get themselves one more position up inside the top 10.
And I can report that 77 truck of Callahan is really struggling as we take a look at Jason Hounshell as he climbs his way back up to the back of Paul Williams II. But, yeah, the 77 truck is really starting to drop to the back. Jason Hounshell doing a great job today. Start 14th. He's all the way up to 9th position. And while he may be 2.5 seconds behind the leader, he's caught up to the back of that front pack, and that means he can use them as drafting abilities. And he also hasn't been fighting with this front pack, so he's probably got more tires than these guys and may be able to make a move.
See, as we go back towards where the 77 truck is, Callahan's in 12th position. Was moments ago fighting for the top 10. So Callahan in the 24.5s. Right now the leaders, though, are in the 23.7s. So that 77 really having a rough time, where the lead is starting to get intense because Holly is under attack by Rob Haynes.
I've said it in weeks past, Justin. Rob, you really have to be aggressive with Bradley Holly because the man can just take off like a rocket. So if you want to make sure that he doesn't win the race and win the championship, you have to take every opportunity you can to pressure him, to pass him. We've seen him slip up and make mistakes before, but you have to keep the pressure on him. You have to keep it hot. Otherwise, he's going to just take away with the lead.
Last time by, they were dead even on lap times. This time by 23.697, a quicker one for Rob Haynes. And take a look at that line. He's trying to go about a quarter lane up there, it looks like, Adam, to try and bank it in off the corner. So essentially treated as a double diamond almost.
Yeah, and that's working for him quite well. Looks like Bradley Holly takes the same note and does the same thing. And look at him start to pull away just a little bit. But Rob Haynes doing a great job. Look at his line through 1 and 2, just a little bit, about a quarter of a truck higher than Bradley Holly, and that allows him to get a fantastic exit without scrubbing off too much tire.
And you can see trying to do the same thing 3 and 4 right here. However, not as good of results. Actually lost some time compared to Holly in terms of distance. Faster lap to Holly, just barely last time by at the stripe. Right now they've pulled away by about 8 tenths of a second to P number 3 in comparison's sake. So Haynes looking to try and keep this pressure up at this point.
This is one of the things that I love about NASCAR. We're talking, it's a game of inches. And, you know, you lose an inch, you gain an inch, and all of that can add up over the course of a couple laps to a couple car lengths. And that is the best thing about NASCAR driving, especially around here at Dover. It can be just a game of inches. It's amazing.
P13 starting to heat up a little bit. That's where John LaBaff is at the moment. Where Josue Tellez is also looking to make some moves at the moment. Nearly hit the left rear quarter panel of the 911 machine. So things are getting a little bit dicey for every single point at this moment.
Yeah, that was Adam Shane who almost lost it coming off of turn 4. He had to woe up in order to avoid hitting Josue Tellez, who had to check up because of John LaBaff. And so now they've got a 4-truck battle here, which includes Adam Shane and Jake Hounshell, John LaBaff and Josue Tellez up there for that 13th position. And they're battling out pretty aggressively right now.
Yeah, and at this point, how patient do you be at this point? Because it can take multiple laps to set up a pass. When is it to where, okay, I need to go, I feel like I'm getting held up? Is there a limit to that?
I would say at Dover, that is every lap. I would say that you need to be willing to dive to the bottom if you have any opportunity. As we see right now, Josue Tellez looking to the bottom of John LaBaff. You have to be willing to take that opportunity, but you do have to take care of your stuff. And I would say that you need to be less considerate of the driver ahead of you and more considerate to your machinery as far as when you decide to make passes.
And also making sure that you keep those Goodyear Eagles conserved well enough. You don't want to lose the right front tire.
Yeah, and that's the biggest risk. So you need to make sure to be managing that tire temperature. And so that's just something that you have to do based upon feel and based upon experience, whether or not you can hold on to it there.
65 to go this time by for these drivers as LaBaff up the hill. And here comes Tellez. This is the opportunity that he's been waiting for. The 24 truck looks to ride the bottom side. Can he get clear is the question. Yes, indeed, as the 911 truck hit the wall.
Yeah, that was some major contact with the wall from John LaBaff. He's now going to have a little bit of a damaged truck, but Jake Hounshell had to back off, and that backed off Adam Shane. So Josue Tellez is away and gone now from those guys.
Meanwhile, things have gotten interesting up at the front. Rob Haynes is under attack. He's already lost second, has already lost third, and already Mogard has gotten on through to get to the third position. So all of a sudden, Rob Haynes, he's fallen off in the 29 machine.
Yeah, he was trying to battle Bradley Hawley for long enough that those tires started to go away, but now Rachel Hunt looking on his back bumper, Trevor Clement thinking about following her through, but they've also clawed back the gap to Bradley Hawley. They're only about a second behind him now, so it looks like all those tires starting to wear away, and here comes Rachel Hunt underneath Rob Haynes as he goes up the hill.
Yeah, Rob Haynes in the 24 5s at the moment. Fastest trucks are in the 24 1s. So Haynes, while trying to go for that double diamond, might have been a little bit too hard on the gas as already lost a ton of time. Rachel Hunt, meanwhile, up to one of her highest positions of the race in P number 4. By the way, Mogard, a +7 on the race in third.
Yeah, Mogard doing an excellent job today, just keeping the truck clean and taking care of that right front tire. That double diamond that we saw Rob Haynes doing, that's great for speed, but it does wear down that right front tire more than a normal arc would through the corner because you're putting more stress on it in a couple different places. It also gets it hotter, so Rob Haynes is going to have to be content just riding in the back. An update on Paul Williams II, who started off this green flag run in the lead. He has now dropped down to P11, about 0.2 of a second ahead of Dominic Pagine and Josue Tellez, who we saw battling. So his position, attempt to gain position through staying out is not quite working out for him, but it's definitely better than it was when he came in.
And the interesting thing, by the way, in terms of the Tellez situation, he was as quick as the leader last time by in the 24 truck, is already up to 12th position. That's how quick he's been charging ever since he got by LaBaff in the rest of that grouping. He's coming, and coming pretty quickly. He's still 7 seconds behind the race leader, but there's a chance he might be able to charge his way to the top 10.
Yeah, Josue Tellez and Paul Williams are teammates, so I'm expecting that this pass probably will be fairly easy between the two of them. But Tellez showing a different strategy than Williams. Williams having to take a different strategy to try and regain track position, and Tellez showing that you can claw your way from the back to the front.
Absolutely, it's a +8 for him on the race so far tonight, by the way. So things continue to shape out here, coming to 57 laps to go. Some of these trucks at the moment up on your screen. As we continue to see P number 2 be absolutely crazy because Sink is trying to hold on to that spot at the moment. However, Mogart, Hunt, and Clement are all trying to provide pressure as they pass by a blowing up truck and Adam Young. Adam Young has blown up his engine on the bottom, stays out of the way, but Rachel Hunt moves her way to the bottom side to try and defend.
Yeah, that was because of the damage that we saw that he had from that incident with William Hartman and Mike Richter. So he's gonna, unfortunately, his day's probably gonna be done here. And here we go with Rachel Hunt, who's just snuck by, and wow, just here we go to the lap traffic, Justin. Things are gonna get even more crazy.
We haven't even gotten to that discussion point yet. By the way, Hunt did get to third, on that pass. To get to the bottom side, Mogart loses the bottom, meanwhile, to Clement. Side by side for P number 4. The 111 machine just barely slides up in the Route 66 racing truck.
And that's just knowing your truck inside and out. That's knowing exactly where you can do it. That's what I was talking about as far as the game of inches. Rachel Hunt getting held up a little bit. They're about to go past Baron Hilton in 23rd position now. This is Trevor Clement we're riding on board with, going underneath him now.
And in terms of lap traffic, in your opinion, what's the best way to get around it with a track such as Dover? Because you can lose a lot of time if you get held up at the wrong place at the wrong time.
You got to time it right. You got to see it coming and make sure that you get him in the corner, even if that means backing off a little bit on the straight. Because if you get them on corner exit, you're going to lose way more time than if you just backed up a little bit on the straight and made sure you take that position going through the turn.
As this has all been going on, mind you, Bradley Hawley has grown the lead to 1 second in the North Star Title Company machine, but is about to reach 2 trucks who are battling for position. That's 21st and 22nd up in front, Nicholas Hunter and Craig Holden, who've been scrapping near side by side for much of the time. But look at the difference, 3 wide down the front straightaway. That's a way to cut through traffic, but that's a dicey one.
Well, he had to get him before the turn. Otherwise, those two would be side by side and hold him up. That would probably make him lose that full second. But man, look how crazy the traffic is right now for Bradley Hawley and Thomas Sink as well.
And already everybody trying to dive their way to the bottom side to get around Nicholas Hunter at the moment. Hunter stays alongside the wall. Mogart also makes the way around the lap machine. So, ended up losing about half a tenth that time in terms of the traffic was Hawley, but everybody else that kind of forced the battle, Sink scraped the wall that time.
And he also put a little bit of a block on Rachel Hunt there into 3 and 4. Rachel's not going to be too happy with that because it's woed her up. Here comes Trevor Clement. He might look to the low side. He's actually thought better of it, but man, Thomas Sink's starting to lose pace now. This is starting to get interesting. The tires are really starting to wear off these people. They're about 38 laps into this run, and I can expect that this truck doesn't feel great.
And Thomas Sink definitely cut the fender on the right front with that contact with the wall. So the Whataback Racing machine going to have to try and play defense. Now gaining time last time by even with all of this. So Sink trying to hold the line at the moment. They have started to pull away from Jared Mogart, mind you, as these 3 trucks have tried to fight for the position. They gained another 2 tenths off of 2 last time.
If I'm Bradley Hawley, I'm seeing that happen. I'm thinking, I think it might be time for me to pit for tires. I know the fuel window is not ideal right now, but you're losing too much time to these guys, and you can gain way more time by getting tires. They're about a second and a half off of their fastest laps this race with this tire wear, and I think that if he pit, he'd be able to regain those positions possibly if a caution doesn't come out.
Mind you, Paul Williams II is 52 laps into his tires life at the moment in 13th position. And that was about a 10-lap difference between the previous caution when he pit and the most recent one, all the way back at the start around lap 19, lap 20. So Williams II, strategy didn't work.
But you know whose strategy did work out? Josue Tellez in 7th position, his teammate. He's up to 7th position now on this run. He started this run back in 15th or 16th position. Josue Tellez making a serious charge to the front.
Yeah, right now, has closed in an extra second overall in terms of the race leader last time since we checked in on him. So he's moving, and you can see how comfortable he is off the corner, especially compared to everybody else around.
We also can make a report about Rob Haynes, who was in second position. Actually, we do need to go to the battle for second, rather. This is Rachel Hunt underneath Thomas Sink. She's finally got an opening, and now Trevor Clement's going to try and push her through.
Hunt trying to come off the corner. Sink nearly tapped the wall with the right rear door. Sink trying to set it hard. That's going to push him tight. Hunt rides the bottom for the position, able to clear on by for the spot.
Now she has to be careful about the over-under. Thomas Sink's looking to the low side. Rachel Hunt, though, going to take a little bit of a lane up, and that's going to allow her to diamond the corner off the corner. Here comes Adam Shane that hits the wall, the outside, to try and stay away from these folks, and he's going to be able to do it. Rachel Hunt's going to be able to get through clean, but they've lost a lot of time to Bradley Hawley duking it.
Yeah, now 1.6 seconds the gap between them and the race leader. And now it becomes the question, can Rachel Hunt try and close on in after taking advantage? 2 more tenths lap time by lost off the corner. By the way, Telez, he's moved himself up into 6th position as we were keeping up with this. It's another 3 seconds until he reaches Mogart. Callahan, meanwhile, has just also been passed in that same group by Honchell.
Yeah, Callahan's truck is not behaving the way he would like it today, but Jason Hounshell climbing his way back to the front after that incident. And it looks like we've had our first pit taker. This is Jared Mogart, who pits from the 9th position.
Yeah, Mogart was losing a ton of time right before the start of the pit stops. So this is going to be interesting. This would make it a run of 41 laps to get to the finish here. And overshoots his pit box. Has to back up the truck.
That's going to lose him a lot of time, especially under green flag conditions. That is really bad for him. But 41 laps, that's about as long as we've gone so far. We're on lap 48 of these drivers right now. Tristan Callahan's into the pits in the 77.
Shatley has also followed them in as well, so everybody starting to make their way into the pit boxes for some 4 tires to try and get some Mr. Feelgoods on this racetrack at the moment. So it becomes the question, do you pit if you're, say, a Hawley or a Hunt or a Sink? If so, when?
I would pit sooner rather than later. These drivers have been around the 24.7s, the 24.8s for the last couple of laps. And so it's very, very close between Trevor Clement and Thomas Sink as we're coming back to live and watching that happen. But I would pit as soon as possible because your lap pace does not fall off that much once you get past 30 laps.
Lane has come in this time by along with Rob Haynes. Rob Haynes had lost a lot of time in the past few laps. And it's going to get interesting to see what happens with trucks like Bradley Hawley, who is stuck in traffic and getting passed by drivers on fresher tires. So everyone's starting to have to take some calculated moves here at this point as they fight, meanwhile, for position in all of this. Clement up 1 more spot. That's for 3rd.
And that drops Thomas Sink back down to 4th position, but he's looking to go into the pits right now as he goes around another truck going into the pits. Let's see whether or not he can whoa down in time. It looks like he's going to be able to. Yes, he manages to make it in. Impressive from Thomas Sink.
And it's a very difficult pit entry, mind you, because you're trying to come off essentially a banking that is about 2 to 3 stories high and duck down to a pit speed limit of just 35 miles an hour in the span of about 5 seconds.
Bradley Hawley's in.
Easy.
Our leader, Bradley Hawley's into the pits now, so that releases Rachel Hunt. She's going to go around one more time with Trevor Clement behind her, only 3 tenths behind her, rather. But Bradley Hawley rolling down pit road.
Jean has also come in this time by as you take a look at Rachel Hunt. The gap is only down to under 2 seconds. Hunt stays out this time. Clement also stays out. 34 laps to go this time by for the start of lap number 78.
It's possible, Justin, that we could get another caution. That might be what Rachel and Trevor are waiting for. But if they wait too long, that caution's actually going to hurt them. Here comes Trevor Clement underneath Rachel Hunt. This is for the lead of the race, Mike.
Oh, caution flag is out. Caution.
Yes, this is Brad.
Rob Haynes is involved in this one. My goodness. Rob Haynes, this shakes up everything, Adam.
Whoa, this is an interesting incident. This started with Craig Holden.
Yeah.
So
And
Craig
you can
Holden,
see-
yeah.
Wow.
Ugh. So Craig Holden actually clips the apron coming off of turn 4 and then gets loose. And Rob Haynes, I think there was trucks slowing up in front of him, and that's what actually caused him to go around. Yeah. So Nicholas Hunter was woeing up off of the corner, and Rob Haynes didn't see it and had to go take evasive action and almost went down and clipped the trucks behind him. And then Nicholas Hunter got hit in the back by the 00 car truck of Jared Mo.
This has major implications in terms of the running order. That's to say the very least, because Hunt, Clement, Tellez, Honcho, Adams, Zemke, Williams II were amongst the drivers who did not hit in before that caution flag. As you look, as Mogart was one of the drivers who did pit and had to go through all of that.
And what's going to be really interesting is that Bradley Hawley had a race with the pace car on the exit of pit road. I'm not sure whether he made it out in time to save his position. He's down in 11th position, so that means he did not. Bradley Hawley relegated to the mid-pack now after that caution.
A lot of trucks, too, are going to have to take a wave around at this point, because at this point, if you don't take it now, there's a chance you never get the lead lap back at this point, Adam. There's a lot of trucks lined up. There's others who don't potentially have that option because they ran 5 laps already.
This is going to be very, very dangerous for these drivers who are going to need to do the wave around. Bradley Hawley is one of the drivers actually who does need to do a wave around now. Man, this is really shaking up the field.
Absolutely, at this point, a lot to sort out.
Yeah, Bradley Hawley, Thomas Sink, Colton Lane, Nicholas Hunter, all these drivers that we've seen, they're all going to have to take the wave around this time.
So at this point, what do you do now if you're Rachel Hunt and Trevor Clement? Because now you're in control of the race at this point.
Well, if I'm those drivers, I definitely... I go as hard as I can. This is only going to be about a 30-lap shootout to the end. Yeah, about 30 laps to the end of the race. So well, man, that's a tough spot, Justin, because it's a really tough spot between whether you go all out, but then you're going to lose a ton of pace, or whether you go kind of halfway and make sure you keep your tires good for the full 30-lap stint.
And don't forget, too, here, Adam, Jose Tellez is in 3rd position now. It's a plus 17 for him, and we've seen how quick he was on that long run. At this point, what do you expect from him at this point, starting in 3rd?
Well, if he has the long run pace, so if he drives like he did in that last restart, I could see him definitely battling for the lead towards the end of this. Now, I would caution Bradley Hawley a little bit from being too aggressive on this start, because if he's super aggressive and runs out of tires, he's not going to be able to get back up to the lead.
Whole ton of wave around drivers make their way around the iRacing official pace car. 1 to go signal as Rachel Hunt again is your race leader. The Emerald Coast Coins machine will bring them to the green flag alongside Trevor Clement. Tellez is in 3rd, Jason Honcho is in 4th, Brett Adams is in 5th position, Jake Honcho in 6th, Pauline's the 2nd, Adam Zemke rounding out the top 10 will be Nick Robbie in the 9th position. The rest of the drivers all had to take wave arounds in this situation. This is going to be crazy.
It definitely will. We'll see how Rachel Hunt handles this restart. But man, a lot of drivers single file right now because of the wave around. So this is going to get very exciting at the start.
Rachel Hunt off and away she goes. Green flag is back up. We're racing once more from Dover. And Clement already trying to duck to the bottom side to stop the momentum of Tellez.
Looked like a fairly clean restart in the back of the field. Bradley Holly not able to make up any positions, but that lead is very tight between Trevor Clement and Rachel Hunt and Jose Tellez.
Separated by about half a truck length apiece between those positions as everyone completes the lap cleanly. 28 laps to go to decide this race. Clement trying to do what Haynes was doing before. Diamond it off the corner. Gets a great run. Here comes Clement to the inside of Rachel Hunt for the race lead.
Rachel's got to defend this. There's not much time left in this race, but she's also thinking about the points picture. She's number 2 in points, and Bradley Holly, her points contender, is behind her. So as she lets Trevor get by, Jose Tellez out actually brakes heavily, making Jason Hounshell roll up.
The Honshells are now lined up in 4th and 5th positions as this is going on. Taking a look on board, this is the 49 of Jason Honchell at the moment, trying to wheel his way behind Tellez's truck. Tellez now separated by a truck length or so behind Rachel Hunt for second.
And I can report that Bradley Holly has 5 lap trucks ahead of him before he even gets up to P9 of Nick Robbie, so he's in big trouble with Bradley right now. Unless there's another caution, he's probably not going to get up to those leads.
Has to keep it nice and calm and collected. The first truck to get around is Callahan, then has Shane along with Adams as well as a couple other trucks. So right now, fastest laps being set this time by Trevor Clement at 23.490 on the racetrack as the track is at 99 degrees.
Yeah, these drivers are doing a great job hanging on to it. I'm taking a look at Jose Tellez. He's actually fallen off the back of Rachel Hunt. You may think that he doesn't have the pace, but we've seen his long run pace, and he's thinking, I got 30 laps here. I don't have to go right now. I can go a little bit later and make the pass on Rachel Hunt a little bit later and save my tires for when it matters most.
Absolutely, at this point, thinking big picture, Hunt loses some time off the back straightaway. And this track, again, can be so difficult, again, to try and get off the corner with the long run, with the right front, to make sure you don't hit that wall. Hunt seems to be trying to be conservative, and that's right now just isn't getting as good of a run off turn 2 specifically. She's fine in turn 4. Turn 2, she's struggling.
Yeah, she's struggling a bit, but remember that she's thinking big picture right now. Most race drivers are thinking about the win for sure, but Rachel's watching Trevor fall away, and the one thing she can think about is maybe if I save my tires a little bit, Trevor will start to fall off towards the end of this run like we've seen before, and that'll be right towards the end of this race, and then she can make a pass for the lead possible.
Should note that Jake Honchell was dropped by about 7/10 off of Jason Honchell at the moment. That's turned it into a 4-truck breakaway up at the front, coming to 20 to go this time by.
These truckers are dealing with the highest temperatures we've seen today. It's 100 degrees on the track, and that's making it all very difficult to try and get by right now with these tires and the way that the track is rubbered up at this point.
Mind you, it's difficult as well for the drivers who have to take the wave around. Guys such as Holly, who is right now been able to move up 1 position. Holly, mind you, is going to have to deal with older tires compared to the rest of the drivers, on top of trying to gain that track position once more. The truck in front is a lap down at the moment, but Nick Robbie, he did pass this time by to move up to 9th.
And so Dominic Eugene lets Bradley Holly go by. We're riding on board with Bradley Holly, and that truck is pretty tight off of the corners. Those 2 laps, well, they're fighting for position just in front of him between Adam Zemke and Brett Adams.
We haven't talked too much about Adams. He's held on to a top 10 despite the fact that the right front fender is damaged on that truck. So right now the 23 machine's been able to hold on fairly well. Zemke looking very strong on entry to Apex, having to let off on the exit, however, as they pass by Charles Sumner on the bottom side. It looks like Zemke's got the faster truck, just needs the right spot, nearly made contact that time.
Yeah, you do not want to make contact on Dover on corner exit. You will spin the truck around ahead of you. Look at his line, though. He's going way to the high side. He's going to try and diamond off the corner and get a good exit, a good launch, so that through 3 and 4, he's strong.
Adams taking a very defensive line this time. Ducked right to the bottom, a shallow line this time. I think Adams knows that damage is slowing him up a little bit. Zemke looks to try and dive it to the inside, and turn 1 completes the pass. That moves him up to 7. Take a look at the Rachel Hunt battle with Jose Tellez. This is for second. This is currently about a second behind Trevor Clement. So Tellez putting up the pressure right now on the back end of the 16 truck.
All right, if we have 96 laps complete, so only a couple laps to go. Yeah, I think it's go time for Jose Tellez. He's going to have to try and make this pass by Rachel as soon as possible and start climbing his way up to Trevor Clement.
This is going to have to take perfection right now. 14 to go, this time by on the racetrack. Tellez just cannot seem to close in more than a couple truck lanes at the moment now. Going on, his teammate Paul Williams II is also in the middle of a fight. This is for 5th. Jake Honchell has dropped back to the 7 truck. Mind you, too, Zemke is trying to charge in the backdrop to make it a 3 truck fight pretty soon.
Yeah, Paul Williams is doing a good job trying to hang on to that truck. This doesn't seem like a car-truck combination that he likes too much, but doing a great job. It looks like... Oh, and Adam Zemke... No, this is Bradley Hawley.
Caution flag is out either way on the track. That's Brett Adams, who had contact with Hawley.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, Justin, because I mean this is a tough one for sure. It's Bradley Hawley looks like he's right down on the inside, and Brett Adams kind of moves to defend a little bit, doesn't realize that Bradley's there, and the two just come together.
Yeah, you be the judge at home, fans, as bye-bye goes the 23 truck, and the 184 machine moves up to 8th position on the racetrack.
Oh boy. And yeah, take a look at Brett Adams. He moves down to defend against Bradley Hawley, and they just come together a little bit. I think he didn't expect Bradley Hawley to be there quite yet.
Yeah, that's a huge one because it helps Hawley, to be quite frank, in terms of getting on the same tire cycle. But this means this is now going to open up a lot of strategy. Tellez just stayed out on the racetrack. Jason Honchell, Paul Williams II also rolling the dice, with there being 10 laps to go this time by everyone else pit, and a majority of the field taking 2 tires or 4 tires. Clement, Hunt, along with Hawley, along with Sink, along with Robbie, all on 2.
Yep, a lot of 2-tire stops right now. That's a great play. Looks like Tristan Callahan will be our first driver out on 4 tires, and he'll be back in the 8th position rather. So this is going to be a very interesting restart and a short run to the line, just.
Mind you, too, there is a bit of time to be a factor. The laps did go really quickly here because of that very, very long run we've seen, as well as the most recent run. There's still about 6 or 7 minutes to complete the race, so that is something to keep in mind if we do get a caution precaution situation as well, with there being 10 to go this time by.
Yeah, and the unfortunate drivers, there are going to be some drivers who are going to get caught in between the leaders and the drivers who just took the pit stop, so they're going to be shuffled straight back and not get the wave around this time, so tough luck for them.
We're still lined up behind the iRacing official pace car at the moment. So at this point, if you're Tellez and Honcho and Williams II here, what are you thinking before you get to the green flag here in terms of strategy?
My strategy is defend the bottom with all my life, even if that means going slowly, because I don't think that the top is a viable place to pass. So if I can hold that bottom line, I think I keep these guys behind me, even though they have 23 lap fresher tires than me.
And mind you, there's 23 lap pressure right sides lined up in P4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We've seen that 10 lap tires in terms of the difference can work for a few laps or so. How do you think that will be for the 20 lap difference here in the run to the checkered flag?
Yeah, that might be a little bit more stark. I think the drivers at the back of this two-tire change, Nick Robbie, Thomas Sink, are going to be under some heavy pressure as soon as we get the green flag. The other thing we have to talk about, though, is with Josue Tellez, Jason Hounshaw, and Paul Williams, the second up in front, they are going to have to worry a lot about tire spin. With the 98-degree track temperature, this is going to be very, very stressful for them getting off the line. I'd expect Tellez to get it right, but Hounshaw and Williams, who have to respond to him, it's going to be a little bit tougher.
1 to go signal again. It's Jose Tellez in control. Josue Tellez, I should rather say, in control of the field. Jason Honcho in second. Paul Williams the second. Trevor Clement, Rachel Hunt the top 5. Bradley Hawley is in 6th. Thomas Sink and Nick Robbie are in row number 4. Row 5 for the start. Jake Honcho and Adam Zemke. That rounds out your top 10. 9th and 10th on 4 tires. 4th through 8th on 2 tires. 1st through 3rd on no tires. Which strategy will work out? An 8-lap shootout to the finish. Who will take it home from Dover in the PRL Truck Series? We're about to find out. Tellez is in control of the field as he stacks them up, brings them to the green flag. Him and Williams the second get a good jump on the bottom. We're back to racing.
Rachel Hunt got an awful jump in 6th place. She's now got Thomas Sink right up her back bumper. But man, Bradley Hawley really being super aggressive right now, trying to get around Trevor Clement, but unable to do so. We're going to see who can get who coming off the line, and that is Brett Adams, who just hit the wall coming off of turn 2.
Caution flag is out, and that brings it out indeed. That contact you mentioned, Adams indeed goes around to the backstretch out.
Yeah, and that was contact with the 21 truck as well that Brett Adams made contact with. That was Adam Zemke who got woed up off the high line. So this will probably bring us to a green-white checker, Justin.
You can see on the screen, there was a truck that hit the wall in front of him and just nowhere for him to go.
Yeah, that was Adam Zemke who hit the wall in front of him. He just got tight going through the center of the corner, so that was rough for him.
And that was a big-time hit, mind you, to Adam by Zemke. It pounded the right side of the truck.
Yeah, that truck just got super tight coming off the corner. That's interesting because Zemke was one of those trucks who took 4 tires, so I would have expected the truck to be able to turn better, and I think he was too. And so he just didn't expect it to go straight up the track like that.
And now that does make time a bit of a factor here, though, Adam. Now it's going to get very tight in terms of that. It's also going to make it now a little bit more of a, how do I put this, easier situation, potentially, for the drivers who stayed out here, even though Clement is still in 4th and looking to charge along with Hawley.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to have an easier time of it now because we're going to have less laps to run. We're probably going to restart with 3-ish to go, I believe. So that's going to be very tense for these drivers. I especially Trevor Clement and Bradley Hawley, who want to make up positions. It's going to be tough for them.
Yes, absolutely. Here we're coming to 5 laps to go, mind you, and drivers are trying to warm up some of the tires. Here's the thing when it comes to the V7 tire model, tire heating. Again, we talked about the importance of it. Drivers will try and scuff the tires or go back and forth to put heat in them to try and remove the effects of cool tires. Because if you're on cool tires, that's where there's the chance you start getting loose, and especially in fixed setup racing.
Yeah, and that's the danger is the tire spin on the restart. If Paul Williams and Jason Hounshaw don't get a good restart, that could really open up the door to Trevor Clement and Bradley Hawley coming in.
Right now, still lined up behind the official iRacing pace car here. Coming to what is looking like a 3-lap shootout here. At this point, what do you do if you're the drivers in that field right now to try and get this victory?
Well, I'm thinking, I'm looking at the clock and I'm looking at the laps, and I'm thinking to myself, it could go either way. It could be clock or it could be laps. We might not even get the full 3 laps in because we haven't gone double file yet. So I'm thinking I need to get as many positions as quickly as possible when I get to this restart. So expect to see some drivers taking extreme risks once we get going.
In terms of extreme risks, do you mean such as making it 7 wide off the corner somehow, or is there a limit to the extreme limits? If that makes sense.
Well, I think that depends on your points position, your caution license position. I think all those things are factors you have to take into account in trying to make the decision of what you're willing to do. But if you see a gap, I think you go for it here.
See who tries to jump to the gaps when the green flag flies once again here from Dover. Coming to 4 to go. Restart will come with 3 laps to go. Should be interesting. Teammates in control of the field on the front row. Tellez and Williams II. This is going to make it interesting as well. And that dynamic to have teammates have the chance to dictate when to go and try and launch together.
Yeah, and we're going to have to keep an eye on the flag man to see when he throws that white flag. Is it after 2 laps? Is it after 3 laps? I don't know. It's going to be very tense. And the drivers don't know either, so expect them to be trying to make their way to the front as fast as possible.
Once again, it's Tellez, Williams II, Honchell, Clement, Hawley, Hunt, Sink, Robbie in the top 8. Jake Honchell and Tristan Callahan also inside the top 10. Right now, 14 drivers on the lead lap, all of them looking for a chance to come home with a victory. Who will take it from Dover? We're about to see. 3-lap shootout to decide the race. Tellez is off and away on an early start. Green flags back out. A great launch for the 24. A bad launch for Williams II on the outside.
Also a good launch from Bradley Hawley, who's underneath Trevor Clement right now. He's going to stick it down to the bottom side and make that line work. But Trevor Clement pulling again on the high side. Is he going to be able to hold it off the corner? Yes, just barely. But Bradley Hawley's able to make it through. Here goes Paul Williams and Jason Hatchell. He's looking at the low side, but unable to do so.
Under a minute left on the clock in terms of race time or distance. 2 laps to go. When will we see the white flag? That's going to be the big key. They're projected to make it this time. Tellez looks to try and come around. Can he try and hold on is the question as Hawley dives hard for 3rd position.
Hawley tried to go underneath Paul Williams. That forced Paul Williams to enter the corner a little bit shallow. That push up to the high side, but Hawley is not quite clear yet. Now he's clear. He makes his way by into the 3rd position. We're still not white flag yet. Still 2 to go.
Right
it is
now,
the final lap. It is the final lap now.
Yes, white flag is out on the racetrack. Final lap, 110 laps we've made it to. Hawley charges up for 2nd, but for Jose Tellez, he rolled the strategy in the Cup Series on the weekend. He does it again in the Truck Series. Jose Tellez wins it at Dover.
Bradley Hawley comes home in 2nd with Jason Houchel just getting past Paul Williams, Trevor Clement, Thomas Sink, Jake Hounshell, Rachel Hunt, and Tristan Callahan, and Adam Zemke of all people rounding out the top 10 even after that incident.
And for Tellez, that is the 2nd race he's won in PRL competition in the top 3 stock car series that have come in part with tire strategy. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, post-race coverage will begin. You're watching the Global SimRacing Channel, live from the virtual Dover International Speedway. Welcome back, everyone, to tonight's coverage of the PRL Cup Truck Series, sponsored by Diecast Kings, and what was an exciting finish from the Monster Mile. For the second PRL race in a row for the stock cars, Josue Tellez rolled the dice, played the tire strategy game, and took the win. He did it in the Cup Series at Charlotte on Sunday. He does it in the Truck Series tonight. Bradley Hawley charged his way up from 8th position to 2nd in the final 2 restarts of the race, with Jason Honcho rounding out your top 3. Paul Williams II came home in 4th, with Trevor Clement in 5th spot. Thomas Sink comes home in P number 6. Jake Honcho also with a great run in 7th. Rachel Hunt comes home 8th. Tristan Callahan, Adam Zemke rounds out your top 10, Adam.
Yep, then we have Nick Robbie in 11th position, with Brendan Chatley coming home in 12th, right in front of Jared Mogard. Brett Adams comes home in 14th position, even after being involved in that last wreck. Adam Shane comes home in 15th, up 15 positions from his starting position, with Colton Lane in 16th, Dominic Pagine 17th, 2 laps down, Matthew Aubrey 18th, Nicholas Hunter and Blaine Adams round out your top 20.
Todd Smith, Craig Holden in 21st and 22nd, Baron Hilton 23rd, 11 laps down. Rob Haynes finishes 14 laps down in 24th. John Labatt 25th. Adam Young, Charles Sumner, Austin Hunter, William Hartman, and Mike Richter round out the drivers who made the starts tonight. But for the second stock car race in a row in PRL competition, it is Josue Tellez taking home the W. On Sunday, you rolled the dice with a major gutsy call in terms of tires at Charlotte. You rolled the dice again at Dover, come home with the victory. How do you feel coming home with this Truck Series win tonight?
Oh, it feels great. Super excited. I'm glad it worked out, the strategy, the way we planned it. And it was fun driving to the field once again.
You and Paul Williams II made a similar call on Sunday. What came down to the decision to make it again today on Wednesday night?
Today it was just a couple of chatter we had during practice, talking about tire wear and just planning out strategy overall. But then also it all relates with what everybody else is doing. So we're kind of reacting to the field, and it seems to be working good for us.
Indeed, in terms of this, it's a good way to start the second half of the season. As we get ready for the home stretch, next race is at Chicagoland. Your thoughts on that race?
Well, it will be my home track, so I tend to run very well there. So I'm very excited. Hopefully it'll be another good finish for 24/7 racing.
Anyone you want to thank before we let you get going?
Yeah, I want to thank PRL for putting the event together, GSRC for you guys broadcasting, and DiecastKings.com for anyone's looking for NHRA, NASCAR, or Indy Series diecast cars. Go to DiecastKings.com and check out their Facebook for raffles.
Congratulations on the win tonight. An absolutely good one.
Thank you.
Josue Tellez coming home with the victory tonight. Started in 20th position for tonight's race. Bradley Hawley started on the pole meanwhile, but came home in second. He's standing by with that.
Yeah, Bradley, you had quite an eventful race tonight, especially after that last pit stop that put you in 10th position. What were your thoughts going into that restart, stuck behind all 5 of those lap cars?
I was irritated that that I went in the pits and everything, but at the time I felt like it was a good call. Was going to make up even more time and hopefully extend my lead if the pit stops actually cycled through.
Yeah, but you were able to claw your way back up to 2nd position by the end of that race. How hard was it getting back through the field here at Dover?
Oh, it wasn't easy. Some people were trying to block and trying to make it more difficult, which is racing for you. But I had to try to keep my right front underneath me so I didn't damage it and hurt my run.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Bradley, a great finish tonight, even though it was a hard one to get. It's pole to 2nd. It may not seem like much, but knowing the story, a fantastic finish. Is there anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Diecast Kings for sponsoring the league this season, and you guys for broadcasting us week in and week out, and the Waterback guys for practicing, trying to figure out different strategies, and having a good time.
Awesome. Well, thanks for racing with us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
All right, that was Bradley Hawley, our second place finisher. And it looks like we have Jason Houndshell, who's here from third place.
Yes, indeed. Starting 14th, comes home with the top 3 finish. Jason, how are you feeling after such a strong run, especially towards the end of this race?
I feel fantastic. My heart's kind of still pounding, but otherwise I'm not pretty.
In terms of the race, how difficult was it to try and get yourself up towards the front and try and get yourself in the right strategy at the right time?
Well, me and Jake are really, really familiar with Dover. It's kind of our home track. It's interesting to pass here because when you set up a pass, you kind of have to do it the lap before so that you make sure when you get your run, you get it at the exact right spot. So my strategy was basically be methodical, save the right front, and set up passes so I get a good run and don't have to chew up the right front to make it by somebody, and not to fight for positions if I'm stuck on the outside and I don't think I'm going to save it.
Indeed. Is there anyone you want to thank for being a part of your great run tonight?
Jake, we work. This is one of our, like I said, this is kind of our home track. It's one that we both work at really hard because it's got kind of a peculiar racing line. It looks straightforward, but it's really not. I kind of wish he would have been able to get up there with me, but he had a little bad luck earlier on. So Jake and you guys for doing the broadcast, and PRL for putting on the league races.
Thank you very much for the time, Jason.
Thank you, sir.
Jason Houndshell coming home in P3 tonight. Adam, your quick final thoughts before we say goodbye.
It was a great race. They had a lot of good green flag runs, which is refreshing to see in this series, and a really awesome finish from Josue Tellez with a great strategy call.
Indeed. And we'd like to thank you as well, the viewers, for tuning in for tonight's exciting action here from Dover International Speedway. We'd also like to thank the Precision Racing League for organizing this series. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for broadcast listed up on your screen. All the Diecast Kings for being the presenting sponsor of this series. Special thanks go to Truth One, provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more for great work. Thanks to the team today in Adam and Sean. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. If you'd like to help support the channel, check out our merchandise for sale at gsrc.storenvy.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button, as well as the notification bell so you don't miss a moment here on the Global SimRacing Channel. The next race on the calendar, February the 5th, sees the Truck Series head to Chicagoland. Be sure to tune in. Coverage starts at 8:50 p.m. Eastern on February the 5th. We also have many upcoming races for other series listed up on your screen, so be sure to check those out and mark them down in your calendar. And be sure to stick around on the Global Sim Racing Channel because the 2020 Lionheart All-Star Race is up next. Coverage starts at 10:35 Eastern Time. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.